Hey team, Craig Robbins here. Give you a class today on an acceleration program around body language. This is a super important topic. You know, throughout your entire career, you're going to have a bunch of things you need to get to know. You need to get to know your technology. You need to get to know your technical stuff. You need to get to know your market. You need to get to know the tenants, the landlords, the investors, the financing, lots of stuff you got to know. But there's this one thing that's universal that you're going to need to know in virtually everything you do, and that's understanding body language. Understanding how people tick, understanding how people are reacting to you is going to be critical to your career. And so we're going to give you a real good class, quick class today on the concept. It's a deep concept. There's a lot of stuff on the internet you can get on it. There's lots of classes you can take, and there's lots of studies, a lot of different directions you can go. You can go on body language with micro analysis, just being able to watch very small facial expressions, to big body language movements, nonverbal, verbal, everything. And so we're going to cover the kind of the general topic today. There's also a PowerPoint presentation that you can get off the acceleration site. Should be able to help you out today. It's been really important to teach people in our company the concept of body language. And why? Because real estate is a stressful situation. People don't realize it. You know what happens? You buy a house, you sell a house, you buy a condo, you sell a condo, you're going to experience your own personal stress. Think of the companies when they buy investment property, or when an office building moves. Think of you guys moving into a new space, and think of the things that happen, all the pressure that comes out of that. Everything's got to work perfectly. My office needs to be better than my last one. Why is Bob's office better than my office? All that stuff starts showing up, and it's really noticeable in body language, especially when you're negotiating with folks. So we want to talk with you about how to observe yourself and how to observe others as we go forward with this. So we'll go ahead and start our screen share and talk to you a little bit about the concept of body language to begin with. All right, so first of all, we're going to be talking at a real high level right now, because going through it really quickly is a good way to start. The body language can be broken up into four main categories. There's just your body, there's eye contact, there's your expressions, and then there's your pace that actually plays in on your body language. Your pace can make a big difference. All of this is kinesics, is the study of how your body is communicating. It's called kinesics. Okay, and there are really five basic styles, things to think about. Number one are emblems. That's, thumbs up, emblems. These are, hey, these are hang loose. These are things that are you're deliberately doing them. Okay, those are called emblems. Number two are regulators. That's where you're talking and you're nodding your head and you're talking and you're sort of trying to get it across. You're trying to get it across a point. Okay. Then there's illustrators. That's where you're pointing at something and you're saying, yeah, and then right here, and you're pointing at. That's called an illustrator. Right. These are all conscious. You're doing them. Then there's affected display. This is basically cultural. This is maybe the way people operate. Some cultures are very closed in terms of the way they use their hands. They're very close in terms of showing anger. Some people are more animated. If you talk to a group of Italians and you'll see this big animation, everybody's talking like this. And then if you go, and oftentimes when you talk with like a Japanese culture, they'll be much more reserved. And you need to understand those cultural differences, and those are called affective displays. And then lastly, there's adapters, okay? And these are nonverbal, low-level awareness stuff. This is where you're not really paying close attention to what's going on, and you're just kind of doing things. It could be a nervous tick, or it could be an actual deliberate, where you can start perspiring. There's lots of things that can happen with those. That's what we're going to concentrate on today, because that's what you see in real estate. That's what you need to get really clear on. All right, so let's start off with the basic concept. There's 11 million business meetings a day. 11 million business meetings a day. And this statistic's probably 5 years old. It's probably more now, okay? And it's 61.8 per month on average per employee in terms of number of meetings that people are having. 61, right? 37% of a manager's week are in meetings, okay? 91% admit to daydreaming in those meetings. 91% of people admit they just wander off, and 37% admit that at one point or another they fell asleep in a meeting, especially if you're on conference calls, that kind of thing. That can happen, all right? But make no mistake, people are watching each other. People are wired for this. This is like why people like to go to the airport and just watch each other. People love to watch each other, and they're watching you. And so in those meetings, all those little things that you don't think people aren't seeing, they're seeing. And some of them are nonverbal and they're real obvious. And you see your partners, you're going to see this kind of thing, and you need to help each other out. Remember, if your partner is doing something that's annoying, you got to make sure they know about it. And if you're doing something that's annoying, make space for people to be able to contribute to your success by pointing that out. So the reason I know a little bit about this is that when I first got in the meeting, got in the business, I had a partner. It wasn't really a partner. It was a guy that was sitting in the cube next to me, and his name was Art. And Art was a 20-year veteran at the FBI, and Art had retired from the FBI and gone into commercial real estate. And so Art taught us about the concept of watching people. And the FBI, this real specialty for them is understanding how people operate. So I got these lessons from Art, and they actually paid off. So I'm going to pass some of those to you, and hopefully they'll be of value to you. But Art said number one thing was understanding what people are really thinking, not just what they're saying. That was the whole idea of why you want to watch body language, because you want to figure out what's going on behind their eyes, and the way to do that is to pay attention to what their body's doing, because their body oftentimes doesn't lie. So spot nonverbal cues and others that indicate calm, nervousness, or confidence. So he would teach us how to look for that, because sometimes clients start getting nervous and you got to look for it. And then use those nonverbal cues yourself so that you can project like 10 times more confidence, strength, relationship, and rapport. So you want to learn from this to actually affect your own presentation style. So the first question Art asked us was really great. What part of the body most accurately reveals true feelings? Okay, someone's true feelings. Which part? And so is it the eyes? Is it the hands? Is it the feet? Okay, so I'm going to give you a second to think about it, because a lot of people, they've never really thought this question over. They think, well, it's the whole thing. No, there's one that's actually more dominant than the others. And so when we typically go out and ask people this one, if I asked 100 people on this call, probably 90% of them would say, oh, it's the eyes, and maybe another 10% would say it's the hands. But what's really interesting is it's the feet. The feet tell you what people are thinking. When people are dancing, people are moving around, their feet are shuffling, it's telling you something. Just look at these four people sitting. Who looks most relaxed and who looks most anxious? And if I actually asked you to start analyzing this right now, you'll find out that the second person from the left, that's the person that looks most relaxed. The other people have various degrees of anxiousness or nervousness being shown in their feet. The guy in the business suit, I mean, he looks like he's ready to just jump up. He's ready to pounce. So it's real interesting to see how this works. But here's a really good test, okay? Watch your stance. The people on the right, both feet are pointed towards each other. When you're talking to somebody and both people are pointed towards each other, that tells you that they're both facing each other and you're interested and you're engaged. The person on the left, the people on the left, one person's foot is pointed away. Both feet are pointed at one of the people, and then the other person, one foot's pointed at him and the other foot's pointed away. And what that tells you is that person feels like they need to leave. They need to get out of there. Now, the reason I say this is the next time you're with a group of friends and you're all standing around, look at people's feet. If they're fully engaged with you, they'll be pointed right at you. If there's one pointed away, they're making a signal that they're uncomfortable, that they want to leave. And so your job is to understand your clients, especially when you're touring and when you're talking to your clients. And I know this is really hard when you're sitting down, because you don't always see people's feet when you're sitting down. But when you're talking to people, you're going to notice this. So see if you can keep your eyes on people's feet. It'll tell you a lot about how they're thinking. You'll see a lot of people, they rock, they dance, they walk around, they do a little pattern that shows you that they're nervous. It shows you they're not ready. You'll see a lot of people when they do public speaking, they can't control their feet and they start dancing and they start pacing, and you'll watch your own manager do this. So keep your eyes on the people's feet. You'll get a better feeling for what's going on in their head. All right, so just imagine this. Imagine you're an agent and you're pitching your services to a panel of 6 executives. Okay, and those executives, it's a large company, you really want to work for them. Okay, they've already showed interest, but they're not completely sold on your plan yet. So you got 10 minutes and you got to pitch. So how are you feeling? All right, just think about that. How are you feeling? Most people, they're going to feel, they're going to be sweating, their heart's going to be pounding, they're going to feel like throwing up inside. And I got to tell you, it's the same with senior executives. You put in front of a bunch of clients that they haven't met before, they're nervous. Everybody gets nervous because it's the potential for social rejection, it's the potential you can make a mistake. So you got these people and they're sitting there and they can't show this, okay? And you don't want to show that you're nervous. So how do you change your physiology? How do you control that? How do you adjust for that? So the first thing you do is recognize that you can adjust your energy. Before you go into that meeting, when you're starting to feel nervous, you can actually adjust your energy. I'm going to give you two main ways to do it, okay? One of them is just force a smile. You'd be really surprised if you force a smile, it will actually put in endorphins and put in dopamine and all kinds of stuff that your brain puts out, and you'll start feeling better. Some people hum a tune or sing a song. And then the other thing is just act happy. You'll be really surprised that actually lightens you up and gets you ready for that meeting. Now, of course, if you're sitting in the lobby and the receptionist is watching you and you've got this forced smile, you're going to look kind of creepy. So, you got to kind of do it in private. If you need to go into the bathroom, go to the bathroom, get in a stall, smile. If you need to do it in your car, on the car ride over there. But this kind of thing, before you cold call or before you go into a meeting, try it. You might increase your mood. It definitely works for me. I still use this today. So this is not something that you just grow out of. This is something you keep using. All right. Now, the other thing is you can strike a pose. Okay. And this is a power pose. It's called a ventral fronting. And what this pose does is it sends a message that to your body that you have just won, that things are great. And what that does is it lifts your energy up. And there's a really great TED Talks on it, on this that you can find on the Collier's Acceleration website. And this will really help you think about the energy. So again, if you need to go into the men's room or in your car, whatever it takes to get that energy out, those two things alone will increase your level of confidence and increase your level of energy in the room. And people will think that you're really a lot more sure of yourself. And it's really surprising, but it really works. Okay. Now, on the other side of that are pacifying behaviors. If you ever see a client touching their face, okay, on their beard, touching their hair, okay, touching your face is actually a message. Clothing, jewelry, that kind of stuff. It's a message that the person's not totally comfortable, okay, and they're pacifying themselves, and so they're a little bit insecure. Now, you'll see this a lot of times when you're asking a client to go through a difficult decision. They'll put their hand on their head, they'll have it on their face, and they'll be looking. So keep your eyes peeled on that. It's a great clue that your client is actually starting to go through potentially the fight or flight response. I mean, that's literally what's happening inside their body. Also, when people rub their knees, you'll see that rubbing your knees, like it is a really nervous, it's called leg cleansing, where people will start rubbing their knees. And when they do that, again, they're nervous. So clients are starting to look nervous. When you start seeing that, keep your eyes on it and see what you can feel like maybe they're discomfort, it's adding some discomfort or a problem for them. Keep your eyes peeled on that. Okay, now here's the 6 big mistakes that rookies make in meetings. Okay, number 1, they look at their watch. Okay, now I know a lot of you aren't wearing a watch these days, but some of you are starting to get your iWatches, and your iWatches are buzzing, or your Fitbit's buzzing and telling you, hey, go take a run, or whatever it is, and then you're looking at your watch. If you're talking to the average person in real estate and they're 50 to 60 years old, and you look at your watch, you're sending them a message that this is boring and you have something more important to do. So keep your eyes on that one. Slouching. I see a lot of people slouch, and don't slouch. Your client's looking at, even if they slouch, that doesn't mean you do. Okay? Not facing the client. You'll see a lot of times when clients there might be 3 or 4 people in the room, and you're standing, and you're only talking to one of them, and you're not facing all of them. So you've got to use your body and face everyone. You've got to move around, make sure you're addressing who you're talking to. Use your body to face them. Okay? Checking the phone. This is actually nonverbal. It's a total habit. We're all getting hooked on this phone thing, so we keep looking at our phone. We put our phone down in front of us, and then we're looking down at our phone. We're looking down at our phone. We're looking down at our phone throughout the whole thing. Take your phone, put it in your pocket. Do not check your phone. It sends a horrible message, especially to clients that are over 60, because to them, they're not used to checking their phone. They don't do that. They think that you're just basically bored. Creepy eye contact. I promise you, in your career, somebody is going to have creepy eye contact. It's going to either be somebody on your team or it's going to be a client, and it's just going to be kind of bothersome, and it's going to be weird. And sometimes they're looking at you, and sometimes they're just zoned out. they're not really being creepy eye contact. They're just, they're in Hawaii in their head. They're somewhere else, and they've checked out. And you can see they've checked out. So you kind of got to get their attention. All right. If you have anybody on your team that does that, like creepy eye contact is looking at your client's notes while they're writing their notes. Don't do that. Not cool. Your client pays attention to that, and they don't want you to be looking at what they're writing down. And I see a lot of junior brokers do that. Oh yeah, I was in the meeting. I was watching what he was writing. Not a good plan, because they're paying attention to that. This stuff doesn't get lost on people. And then tapping. I see a lot of people tapping in meetings, okay? And they're nervous and they're tapping and it can't, or they got their money in their pocket and they're jingling their money in their pocket. That kind of nervous hand motion, again, it sends a message that you're not confident with what you're doing. All of these either send that you're bored, you're lazy, you're not confident, you're not paying attention. These are mistakes I see a lot of people make. So pay close attention to that. Okay, now if you want to show confidence, you need to stand tall. All right, standing tall, give your presence. Don't slouch. All right, be open with your arms. Open with your arms, not closed with your arms. Closed with your arms is not a good message to send clients. Even if you're cold, don't do it. Especially a lot of women like to talk like this because a lot of times they're cold, and so they put their arms like this. And a lot of men, when they're really their back's tired, they put their arms across their arms. Not a good message you're sending the client. Take the right amount of space. Don't take up too much space. Don't lay all your stuff all over the table. Don't take up too much space. Don't put your, drag your body all over. It doesn't send a good signal. As a matter of fact, they're even starting to think about fining people in subways now, for the man spread, So again, don't take up the space. Keep your body and your arms open to the audience, not closed. Okay? Use purposeful gestures. Don't use the wimpy gestures. Don't use these, like if you ever watch somebody give gestures with their hands above their elbows, those are good, strong gestures, okay? As soon as you take your hands and you drop them underneath, and now you can't see them in the screen, but drop them underneath at your waist level and start moving your hands, it starts looking really weak. You want to keep your hand motion above your waist. Keep it above your waist, but don't accidentally just stuck your hands together and start praying. We see a lot of people, and they give these gestures, and once they lock their hands together and start praying, everything's about the prayer. Okay, so you don't want to lock your hands together. And I know that a lot of people want to start their meetings off, they're standing and they want to be in the fig leaf position, and then then their hands are stuck together, and then they can't move. Okay, you want to keep your hands out, all right, moving. Avoid gestures from the wrist and the elbow. The wrist, it looks weak from the wrist and the elbow. Just making it from the wrist and elbow, your hands look weak. You want to use entire hand motion, okay, when you're using your hand motion. Again, something to practice. I went to Toastmasters. I got training on this. This is not something that, I naturally have it, and so for those of you that want to learn how to speak better and have better presence and use body language, Toastmasters is excellent. I really recommend it. Thumbs up when you're talking. Okay, so not thumbs down. So you don't want to talk like this. You don't want to talk like this. You want to always talk with your thumbs up. You watch presidents, they're always talking with their thumbs up. Okay, they're always pointing things out like this, and their thumbs are up. Okay, and it's a subtle movement, but it really makes a lot of sense, and it shows people that you know what you're talking about. All right, and point your feet towards the people you're talking to. Be conscious of your feet and point it towards the people you're talking to. Now, there's lots of different things people are going to be paying attention on nonverbal. There's the way you talk, there's the posture, there's appearance, there's head movement, there's hand movement, there's eye movement, there's facial expressions, microfacial expressions, there's body contact, how close are you, shaking hands, all that. Are you a close talker or far talker? A lot of people, you ever have that person that when they talk to you and they're just right up on you and they're right next to you and you keep moving away and they keep moving towards you and you keep moving away because they're close talkers. Now, women, you have a better opportunity to close talk than men because women, they don't talk as loud, and for some reason, women can talk closer together, either with men and with women. But men, especially if you're a big dude, if you're a really big guy, close talking intimidates people. So stand back, give people their space, and then funky sounds, laughing, that kind of stuff. All right, so this is the way people look. Let me give you just an example of one person. Okay, this is one person sitting a whole bunch of different ways. Who looks cocky? Because the bottom right corner to me, that person looks like, I know what's going on. Those bottom two people, on the right. Now, who also looks bored? Okay, so maybe it's the person up in the upper middle. They look bored. And who looks young? the person up in the upper left corner, that person looks like a kid. You know, they're sitting in a kid position. All of these, this is the same person, and they're all sending a different message. In fact, if I had you, you could actually name it, definitely how each one of them is sitting in your mind. If you watch somebody cross their legs in the middle of a conversation, pay attention to that, because sometimes it means I'm locked on this idea. So again, that's the feet talking again, okay? Look at this one. Which hand position do you trust most? I mean, this is a perfect example. You got all these people, they got their hands crossed. That means I'm locked in. Hands like this, that's the begging speech. You know, hey, well, why can't we do this? You know, this is I don't know if I trust you. And this one, hey, let's talk. Shake your hand speech. You know what? The one that people trust the most are the hands by the side. And it's also the most awkward one. When we speak, people do not know what to do with their hands. They cannot put them by their sides. They feel weird about it. So they put them in the fig leaf, they cross their hands, they make a different motion. But what you want to do is you want to understand that clients will be most sort of relaxed when you put both hands by your side and you talk to them with both hands by your side. So be thinking about that in terms of the message you're sending people. Now, there's an interesting dynamic here. You're going to see a lot of clients that move into this zone of, you know, they get the high power position. Those are the people sitting on the top. They all have the high power position. Their hands are at their waist, above their head. You know, they're laid out, they're splayed out. They're, you know, these people, sometimes you'll see people in what's called a stem. That's where their hands are like this, okay? Stemming position means I've got this under control. Okay, if they're sitting at the table like that. So again, this means that they're feeling very comfortable. They're feeling like they're on top of it. They like where things are going. They're feeling like they're relaxed. Okay. Now the people on the bottom are sending the message that, you know, they're under pressure. They're not under control. They're not confident. They're not feeling like they've really got it. Look at people in meetings and watch them on this, especially new people when they come into meetings, because you're with all these high-powered people and all of a sudden, you know, you're not sure what to do with your body language. Go neutral. You know, sit in a neutral position, all right? Be thinking about what that looks like. Okay, now there's this concept, this last concept I want to share with you. It's called body mirroring. This is a really neat concept. What it says is that when your client is really getting along with you, they'll literally start mirroring your body position. And this is an example of presidents talking, people in the workplace talking, and you can see that they're mirroring each other. Right, and it's a message that you're on the right track. Keep your eyes peeled. Next time you're talking to a client, the minute they start doing what you're doing, they're saying, I'm with you, we're on the same page. I'm feeling like this, we're going on the same page. Now, on the other side of that, you can actually do that with them. You can look at their body position and mirror them, and they'll start feeling like you're on their page. So again, it's a way to start communicating more effectively, to watch the body mirroring. Okay, so you know, there's a lot of stuff you can get on the internet on this concept. You can go deep on it. And so here's what I'd like you to do. Your body is telling a story. You cannot help it. We are wired to watch each other's bodies. So keep your eyes on that. Learn how to read other people. It's a super important skill. You use it the rest of your life everywhere. Use your knowledge, your body language, to better understand what people are thinking. You want to get into their mind and figure out what they're thinking, so that you don't have to, you know, wait for them to come out in language or a letter later. Okay. Now, here's what I'd like you to try. Find a person that's mirroring you this week. You know, when you're talking, see if you can see if somebody mirrors you. Look for the feet. See if they're pointing towards each other. Look for visual cues. Okay. You know, how are they using their hands? How are they using their eyes? Is their foot pointed away? Think about the message you're sending people with your body. Okay. So if you need to make a point, learn appropriate hand motions and watch your hand motions. Pay attention to that, even if you have to videotape yourself. And then see if you can increase your energy with that power pose. I think you'll find that the power pose will send a really strong message to people in terms of how you're going about sending your body language. Body language is important. It's a gigantic topic. There's lots of ways to learn it. There's a lot of stuff to do on the internet. And there's a lot of things, tests you can take, that kind of stuff. But getting good at it is going to work and serve you in your future. You'll be even surprised. It even works over the phone. The language that you use on the phone will actually come over the line with people. So you want to be thinking about that as well. So with that, folks, I'm really looking forward to hearing how your success is with body language. We'll probably bring you more courses on this as we move forward. Good luck with it. Make it happen. Thanks.